wasn't lastly. You were lying because I got another fax in after that, but we'll pretend. Lastly, I had a couple of questions about the Waverly Press hardcover. One, are the 150 copies per trade set in stone, or would you guys up the amount offered if there was demand? Well, the 150 was Dagan's call, so it was kind of arbitrary. The whole relationship with Waverly Press started when Dagan sent me a copy of Baron Wolman's Jimi Hendrix book. And the appeal that it had for me, I mean, Dagan does great books. He does great books and great magazines. Whatever he does, it's always, if I get something in from him, stop work, sit down, flip through it, pretend to flip through it, actually read it. What really appealed to me about this one was that it was complete. It was all of the late Baron Wolman's. He just died recently. Jimi Hendrix photos that he had done for Rolling Stone magazine, and it's like, wow, that's very impressive. He didn't photograph Jimi Hendrix too many times, but he did photograph him like 2 or 3 times. Here's the story behind it, and here's all of the photographs. And I thought, I would like Dagan to do a Cerebus book like that. So I called him when I got the book in, and raved about the book, and then said, let's do a book. Let's do a book that's like this. I'd like to do something self-contained that is, here's all of it, and here it is, beautifully reproduced, and with some notes in the front. And he's like, yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be great. It started out being Swords of Cerebus. Let's do the complete Swords of, let's do actually Swords of Cerebus #1. But let's do a thoroughgoing, here's all of Marshall Rogers' pencils for the Diamondback story. Here's the 4 issues that were in Swords of Cerebus. Here's all of the annotations. Here's my new commentary on it. Here's sketches I've got of the cover, all kinds of stuff like that. And then it got shifted over to, well, what about high society? And it's like, no, I don't want to do one of my trade paperbacks. My trade paperbacks are a pain in the backside, because all they are is a lot of money, a lot of sweat, and a lot of aggravation, getting them into print, getting them remastered. But of course, Dagan's a Cerebus fan, so it's like, but I really want to do high society. We could do all this stuff with it, and it's like, oh, but we could do hardcovers. Well, I don't want to do hardcovers. And then I go, well, you could do hardcovers because I'm doing a new printing of high society. So all you would have to do is print a bunch more copies of high society, just the guts, and then you turn them into hardcovers, and you stick all of the bells and whistles and stuff on them. But I wasn't really interested in the bells and whistles. I just wanted a really cool book.
Which is about when Matt got the email from Sean of, hey, there's this guy that's going to do a new copy of High Society, and we want you to help sell it, and I forget exactly what the wording was, but I'm like, okay, here's my email, my secondary email, my phone number, my fax number, and my address. Give it to him, and he can contact me whenever he wants. And that's when I started getting on the email chain of, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And it was about a week into it when Dagan came back with, hey, for High Society, we're gonna include a reproduction of Cerebus #1 remastered. And I'm going, all right, that sounds neat. I'm about that. I'd want one of those. And the next thing I know, hey, we're just going to do a remaster of Cerebus #1.
Right. It shifts around as Dagan goes, what is the coolest thing that we could do here? Because like you say, as soon as you say it, as soon as he says to you, we're going to put a remastered Cerebus #1 in, it's like, hey, I'm a Cerebus fan. You just lit up the 500 point bumper. It's man, yes, I'm in. So that whole thing sort of moved way over from what I had intended into something that's actually a wonderful revenue stream for Cerebus and Argois Anaheim, but is just now a part of the big pain in the butt posterity aggravating Dave Sims trade paperback thing.
Well,
so, but getting back to your question, it's like the 150 was arbitrary. It was like, we will just tack on more copies. How many do you want to do? And then it became, how many make sense? You have to find the Goldilocks spot then, and you have no idea what the Goldilocks spot is. Too many, and you have to store them for decades. Too few, and they sell out right away.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I'm asking, was because with High Society, with the fallout of, there's only 20 of the toppermost, poppermost edition, and the 21st guy goes, hey, wait a minute. It's like, well, it's limited, and he doesn't have any left. It's not like there's going to be a stack of them available again. Unless...
Right. Okay, that's your second question, though. Let's keep dealing with your first question, which is, because it was an arbitrary amount, that's what it was with 150. Now we're facing the same thing, because the next remastered book that's actually going to get printed, being brought back into print, is Form and Void. So you have the same question, but hinging on, we all know Form and Void isn't High Society. The Cerebus fans are not nearly as excited about Form and Void as they are about High Society. So is the 150 a sensible number for Form and Void, to the extent that it wasn't a number for High Society? We don't know that, because the problem that you run into is you don't know what the demand is before you actually print the books. You're guessing. All you can do is guess, and you can either guess low or you can guess high, but the odds are you're not going to guess right. So I certainly welcome input. I'm sure Dagan welcomes input on how many is a sensible quantity for Form and Void, and what makes sense to include with Form and Void. I'm inclined to say the photographer for Look magazine, who all of his photos are archived at the JFK Library, pick 10 of those and do really high quality color printing. Dagan's San Francisco color developer as a suggestion, and make that the incentive. There again, it's like, well, I'm a Cerebus fan. I'd much rather have pictures of Cerebus than pictures of Ernest and Mary Hemingway, which I can understand. But it's one of those, well, are we trying to do the best book that we possibly can, or are we trying to do the most popular Cerebus book that we can? And those are different questions as well.
When is Form and Void coming back? Do we have a ballpark for just the regular trades when it's going to be in Diamond again?
I think it's been solicited but we haven't gotten to the solicitation stage where I'm going to get a purchase order that says this is how many that we want.
Okay. The only reason I ask is because literally today, when I was waiting to get Natasha off the bus, I checked Facebook, and Dominic Grace is looking for recommendations on where he can find a reasonably priced copy of Form and Void. And it's like, good luck. It's been out of print for years.
It doesn't exist in the reasonably priced category.
Actually, it does. Mimi Cruz at Night Flight Comics says that they have a bunch in their warehouse for $30 a piece plus shipping.
God bless you, Mimi Cruz.
And that's I read that. I'm like, she doesn't have them for long.
No, I imagine those will be gone in a trice, as they used to say. Yeah. Okay, yeah. In terms of Form and Void, I'm still waiting to hear back from Diamond that, yes, they're interested in 1,000 copies for their inventory. At the rate the books are selling, 1,000 copies will last them years. Fallback position would be doing a Kickstarter for it, probably along the same lines as the Strange Death of Alex Raymond one that's going on right now for Carson's version, and hardcover and softcover, and part of me wants to do a variant cover, and I'm not sure if that's just like, that's in the pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered category. Here's 3 different Form and Voids with 3 different Ham Ernestway covers. I would really like to have one for myself with Ham Ernestway taking the slip off when he's talking about being Mary's girl. It's like, let's really sell this. Stop talking about Ernest Hemingway's sexuality as if it's some big secret. It's everywhere. You're just ignoring the elephant in the room. I will be the first one to do the Ham Ernestway trans cover, and put an interesting Gerhardt background in behind that. And here's your variant cover. And now instead of buying 1 new trade paperback, you got to buy 2 new trade paperbacks. And we could do it as a dust jacket on the hardcover, and now you got to buy 2 hardcovers. It's like, no, I don't think you want to go there, Dave. These people are spending more of their money on Cerebus stuff than they want to as it is. Although I'm sure everybody listening to this is going, yeah, I kind of like a Ham Ernestway trans cover myself.
You could do it as a print.
Yeah. There's always that, like doing stuff book size or smaller, which is the same thing Sean and Carson are trying to stick with on Strange Death of Alex Raymond. Offer them anything as long as it can go in the same box with the books. So it's not any bigger than that.
Or if you do it as a hardcover, do it so that the trans cover is the cover of the hardcover, and then the regular cover is the dust jacket. So you pull the dust jacket off and go, either you like it or you're going to glue the dust jacket up.
Right. There's a thought.
I'm full of ideas.
I know you are. We're not there yet. Anyway, it's the Strange Death of Alex Raymond has to play itself out. Everybody has to get their high society books. Then we move on to Cerebus number 2. Dagan is full of ideas too, and I frustrate him because I go, no, we'll talk about this when Cerebus number 2 is further along in the process, because otherwise we're going to get into a situation where we're working on 5 books simultaneously and then pitching them to everybody and bankrupting everybody. And I really don't want to do that. If I don't get paid for High Society until June, because that's when it actually ships, that's going to keep me far more honest about any of these future projects. But the Form and Void will be done, I think, the same way that High Society was done. It's probably not going to be a Kickstarter. It's going to be a, here they are, kids. They're going to be available starting on this date at this time, and when they're gone, they're gone. Which then moves on to your next question. As it is 150 each time a book is printed, does that count new versions of previously offered books? Or do these get, quote, skipped, unquote? The answer to that one is at the velocity High Society is selling. Through Diamond, I mean. That's a 2023 or 2026 question. And as Teddy Kennedy used to say, we'll drive off that bridge when we come. My guess is no. Dagan doesn't repeat himself.
Which would imply that if he were to do a new version of High Society, it would truly be a new version of High Society. You know, it wouldn't be the same book again. It would be, you know, the guts of the trade with all new bonus features.
Right.
To drive Nate Oberstein nuts because, you know, hey, it's another phone book.
Right. It's like, you know, there are people who are saying, how many times are we supposed to buy High Society? And it's like, well, the thing about me entering into a business relationship with Dagan is that Dagan, this was a note that I wrote for myself, he satisfies his desire rather than demand. And he tends to create desire. It's like you say to yourself, that's it. I have more than enough copies of Spawn 10. I don't need any more. And then he posts a new Spawn 10 cover on the Kickstarter, and it's like, oh, I really want one of those. So he does that to himself first, and then he does it to everybody else, is how it works. So it would be, I will tell him, you know, in 2026 or 2027, God willing, we're both still here. Okay, High Society is finally sold out, so we're ready to do High Society again. Do you want to do High Society? Or do you want to say, no, I already did High Society, that'll do it for me? We want to make sure that all of the books definitely look the same on a bookshelf, so that when the Form and Void hardcover is done, it's got the same spine and the same sleeve that High Society does. High Society and Form and Void, they'll just be way too many numbers apart, so all you can do is picture what the whole shelf is going to look like when it's done, and hope that you live that long. At that point, the only thing Dagan would say would be either no, or I have a new, even better High Society that I want to do. And then everybody hold on to your wallets.
2027, Higher Society.
Or more expensive society. I mean, one of the things that he talked about was, what about 5-star hotel merchandise? And it's like, okay, I know what you're talking about. It's like if you're staying at an upscale Hyatt and you want the bathrobe to wear in your room. They've got one kind of bathrobe. If you're staying at the Park Plaza Hotel, or if you're staying at any of the Savoy or any of the Real World Regency hotels, I recommended that you go online and find 5-star hotels that start with R. Most of them are not doing real good right now, so they might sell you a bunch of bathrobes at a really good price, but they would probably be like, $200 bathrobes, because that's what you get at a 5-star hotel. Same thing with we'll do beer steins or wine glasses, and we'll have the Regency monogram on. It's like that's great, but there's only so many Cerebus fan dollars. But at the same time, when I know that I'm going to get a free box of 6 of them, whatever they are, it's very tempting for me to say, screw the Cerebus fans, because they'll have to buy them. I get mine free. I really, really, really want this. And that's the full circle. Dagan knows fan desire like nobody's business.
Well, to be fair,
go ahead.
To be fair, fan desire is Dagan desire at a certain point because he is a fan.
Right, exactly. He gets to print them and go, I'm rich, I own all of these. He's got, with all of his damaged Spawn 10 lenticular covers, he's got more of them than anybody else. No matter how damaged they are, it would be pretty cool to sit there and look at your little file and go, that's virtually all the Spawn 10 lenticular covers. People are still talking about that. I still have my 5 that don't have comic books attached to them, sitting on the coffee table in my studio, and it's a real picker-upper. Anytime I'm walking past, it's like, let's look at that lenticular cover again. Wow, those snowflakes look like they're hovering right there. That lamppost looks like it's right in front of me. Market Square is exactly as far back from the lamppost as it was back in 1993. That's so cool. Okay, and then we had the overtime message. Brian West, our man on Twitter, asks, where, in your opinion, does Cerebus return to when he dematerializes near the end of Spawn 10 Remastered? Well, it's not really Cerebus. It's Cerebus in between Cerebus and Dave Sim. It's like a Dave Sim Cerebus, because he hangs out at 1993 Dave Sim Cerebus, because he hangs out at Peter's place. He watches hockey on TV, which he doesn't do anymore. He drinks. He phones Mike and says, hey, Mike, I'll meet you at Peter's place. So where he went, he probably, I would venture to say, his Cerebus part disappeared back into Cerebus, and his Dave Sim part disappeared back into Dave Sim, the same as the Todd McFarlane Spawn in the same book disappeared. The Spawn part disappeared back into Spawn, and the Todd McFarlane part disappeared back into Todd McFarlane. What are your reasonings in changing how Cerebus dematerializes from how McFarlane had rendered it in Spawn 10 in 1993? And it's, I'll never have much call for drawing Cerebus dematerializing ever again in my life. This is my chance. So we'll blow it up real big for Grandpa, and then figure out a way to do dematerializing in ink that basically looks like the transporter in Star Trek, but instead of television effects, it's comic book effects.
Okay. I mean, that's what I kind of figured the answer was.
It is one of those things that there's a lot of Cerebi running around at this point. Why just the Cerebus and Health Cerebi alone is enough to make a Jack Kirby sized print of all my Cerebus characters, and that's something that you can do after I kick the bucket. I'm not interested in doing that, but hopefully somewhere in that giant master picture there will be a Jennifer Di Giacomo Salvador Dali Cerebus, which maybe all you have to do is just put a giant wax mustache on him. We'll find out. That's up to JDG. Okay, that's going to do it for me, Matt. This is Ramadan, and I had to do this without Diet Coke this time.
I'm so sorry. So sorry.
What's that?
So sorry. We
no problem.
Many apologies. Sorry, I've been getting the faxes for Kurtz versus Kurtz, so that's on my brain.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's day 24 of Ramadan, 6 more to go, and all I have is a bowl of Special K original yak in the morning, and then this time of year at 10 o'clock at night, I get a garden salad of lettuce, cucumber, and dry bagged coleslaw with my own special lemon ranch dressing on it. And apart from that, I get to drink glasses of water, and I eat a can of pineapple every night for 30 days. 24 down, 6 more to go. 150 prayers, and I've made 6 mistakes so far, which compares very unfavorably with last year, which was my record. Only 2 mistakes over 150 prayers. But 6 days from now, it'll be all be over, and it's not like I'm in a Ramadan league or something like that where we all sit down and compare stats. I'm just playing against myself. Okay, you be sure and say hi to Paula and Janice Pearl and Natasha for me.
Will do.